Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us for the third episode of the Circles of Trust podcast. My name is Uriel5150, otherwise known as Connor, and I'm joined by...
Of course, the regular old DV, usual stuff, and nothing special.
Very special, and we love to have you.
All right, so for this particular episode, we have some gaming news up at the front. And then we're going to talk about God of War, the new God of War, and the 2018 one. So we're going to kind of mix it in there and talk about what we liked and didn't like and talk about the new one and what's going to be in that one. So if you didn't know, yesterday they had Capcom had a showcase at the Summer Game Fest.
For context, what was yesterday, like date-wise? Because we're recording this on the 14th.
Yes, that is true. So this was the 13th,
and this will be coming out the 18th.
Yes, yes.
I don't understand how days work.
Yeah, so it's
basically
kinda...
on the 13th of June there was the Capcom Showcase and the Summer Games Fest.
Glad you pointed that out because people would have been like, "Yo, when was it? When was it?"
Right, yeah.
So okay, so this is since they got rid of E3, since E3 didn't get rid of it, but they skipped a year. So They're supposed to be coming back next year. What they're doing now is Jeff Keighley is stepping in and he's, hosting all these things, and different people are getting an opportunity to showcase their games. So Capcom's was yesterday, the 13th. So I want to talk about some of the things that I saw. So I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch it?
I actually haven't seen any of the material from Summer Games Fest or from the Capcom Showcase. I haven't seen anything.
So that means everything's going to be new.
Correct, everything. But I will say, just off rip, I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise. I'm a big fan of Devil May Cry franchise. Dragon's Dogma, because I heard someone started posting memes about Dragon Dogma again, which I assume means that there was some sort of news.
There was some sort of.
Right. I'm sure there was like a teaser spoiler for something like 7 years from now. But anyways.
All right. So now that you said you're a big fan of Resident Evil, we can start off with Resident Evil Village. So have you played Resident Evil Village?
I did not, but I watched someone do a full playthrough, a guy that I really like watching his content playthroughs. Okay. I'm not a big fan of the first-person Resident Evils, the new ones. Not that they're bad.
No, just that it's funny that you mention that. We'll get to that in a few.
Specifically, I didn't like 7 because I felt like every enemy was a massive damage sponge. Okay. And that didn't feel very satisfying. Like, when you're fighting a zombie, there's usually like a pretty critical weak point you can aim for, and then you get some pretty good feedback, and it takes less bullets. With I forget what they're called. The molded. I never really got that sensation that I was like, man, I'm hitting the right spot. It was just like it's a fucking wriggling black mass of inches. And it felt very reminiscent of 5 of the Ouroboros enemies. But even those had like really big, shining weak points. So, no, I didn't. But Tori played through Village. So I'm familiar with all the story beats. I know everything that happens. Okay. I'm up to date on that.
All right. And just to go off of that, I do feel that... Well, I thoroughly enjoyed Resident Evil 7, and I have a difficulty playing through first-person shooters because I get motion sickness.
Right.
But if it's Resident Evil, I'm playing it. I don't care. I'm gonna go right through it. I'll pop my Dramamine and play as long as I can stay awake. But they were bullet sponges. The good thing about them, though, there wasn't as many of those as there are normally zombies around the area. So they were there were some areas had like 3 or 4 that you had to fight, which is a pain in the ass, but they didn't have as many as they would have normal zombies. So I see the kind of the balance there. But in also in 7, they had other sections that were cooler puzzles, like the videotapes. The videotapes were amazing. Yeah. So Resident Evil 7 is one of my favorites. Like it's up there. Now, you were talking about bullet sponges. Those damn zombies in the Resident Evil 2 remake, dude, and they're just regular zombies.
Wild.
Like, you could pop them in the head and it doesn't even matter. So it doesn't matter.
That same guy that I was talking about that I watched his Village playthrough, he did a Resident Evil 2 like Insanity or Professional or whatever playthrough. He died on the first zombie, and he was and he's a huge Resident Evil buff, and he was literally sitting there going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah,
like, I just emptied an entire mag into the zombie's head, and it's just fine.
And even when you play it on normal, that's how it is. So
that's really upsetting.
It is, but it's still fun though. And Mr. X and dodging him. It's cool.
But like if I wanted to fight bullet sponge enemies with fun guns, I would just play Resident Evil 6.
That's fair.
But then I could play with 2 people.
With Resident Evil 7, I like that they went back to
their roots. And that's the thing is I was never a big fan of the original Resident Evils. I watched Resident Evil 2 being played, and it gave me nightmares for 3 years because I was like, I don't know when did I get? I was like 7 or 8. So like that game fucked me up bad just watching it. So I was never really a big fan of those.
Fair enough.
But when 4 came out, I watched friends play 4, and I was like, this looks like a lot of fun. I never played myself.
Fair.
And then 5 came out, and I was like, this looks like a lot of fun because now it's 2-player. And I want to say I've got like over 300 hours in Resident Evil 5. And it's
fun.
I did the speedrun thing where you beat the game in under, I think it's 4 hours or 5 hours, and you get the infinite ammo rocket launcher.
Yep,
like
it's so much fun.
Beating the hell out of that game. So I'm a fan of the more actiony Resident Evil, which is why 7 didn't really appeal to me all that much.
Horror ones, like going back to scariness and item management, and you're like, oh shit, I got to go do this thing, but I need this key, but I also need this ammo, and I only have one little piece that I could put in there.
Right.
Do I get the ammo or do I carry the piece? You know, and I love that.
Village feels like it's an interesting hybrid of both, from what I've seen. Because it's got some spooky parts, but it also gets a lot of action shooting.
Yes, and there's certain sections in Village that all the lichens are like. It's one section you're like on this rickety, like you're in this thing, and it's like rickety bridges that you are, and it's just like a million lichens hitting you all at once. Like they're just jumping from everywhere. That's fine. I got through it, but that's
not really what you're there for.
Yeah, I like the scariness. Like when you're alone.
So like when you're in the dollhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fetus comes out. Loved it. That's one of my favorite parts. That fucked me up though.
So again, that same guy I was telling you about, watching him play through that on his first playthrough, because I was watching it like when he did his fresh playthrough. He got to that part, he stopped talking. He's a streamer. He was streaming the whole thing. He just stopped talking, and he was just riveted on the game. He gets into the elevator and he goes, "That's the best shit Capcom has done in decades." I
have to agree, because I know we're getting off on a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about the Summer Games Fest and all that, but real quick. So when you hear the sound, like you walk up to it, and it goes to like a mini in-game cutscene. So it's like it doesn't have to stop and then go into the cutscene. It just shows the fetus come around the corner. The sounds that it makes are unnerving.
The incredibly modulated baby wailing it's awful.
And when you run away, I have a surround sound system, as you know, so it will go to different points in the place. And when you're under the bed, because you can either hide in the little closet
or you can go under the bed. Yeah.
The closet is normal because, but when you're under the bed and he goes around the bed, the sound circles you. Oh, it absolutely amazing. Yeah. So that is a pristine part. But Resident Evil Village, I really did like it. Like you said, it's a blend of both. Like you get a little bit of scary, get a little bit of actiony. So what they're doing with it, they have a DLC coming out. It's called Shadows of Rose. So you remember Rose was the baby.
Yep.
She's grown now, because at the very end.
Correct. They have the stinger at the end where she's getting taken away by Neo Umbrella.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So
is it Neo Umbrella or is it Blue Umbrella?
One of those.
Yeah.
One of them shits.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. So
they have a DLC with Rose. She's, older now, so you get to play as her through some.
Isn't she like
stuff.
14 or something?
Yeah, I think she's a teenager, I think, in this one. So you were just talking about being in third person. This DLC is in third person.
That's very interesting.
But it feeds into the next thing that I wanted to tell you. So they're bringing out a patch, an update, if you will, that you can play the entire game in third person as Ethan. So you get to see Ethan. They said he even added in new animations and stuff for
That's
so excited. I can play through that thing a million times. I haven't gone back for the second playthrough because it took so much out of me to get through it.
That's something that I'll probably snap by the game for, like 100%. Because again, I'm just not a big fan of the first person view when I'm playing a game like that. Like, I don't like first person horror. I like to feel detached from it because I'm a little pussy baby and I get scared. So like, if I'm looking at it like dead on, it freaks me the fuck out. But if I have that, just that 1 degree of detachment, it's enough for me to be like, okay, like I'm immersed, but I'm not shitting my pants.
Yes. So I got you.
This feels like honestly, it feels like it's tailor-made for me.
But that's exactly why I loved 7 and Village, because of the first person. Like, some of the sequences are best in first person.
Yep.
Like when you get captured by Lady D and she takes your hand, like cuts you, and then she drinks the it just looks cooler.
It does look really cool for the first person. It wouldn't hit the same as a third person.
It would not.
It really wouldn't.
It would not. So,
and getting your fingies bite off. Yeah.
And all the other weird shit that happens to his hands.
Dude, his hand gets fucked.
Yeah, they have a hand fetish over there. So you get to play third person with Rose, and then you get the patch so you can play through the entire game in third person. So the Mercenaries mode got an update too.
Question about the patch for third person mode.
Yes.
Is it a DLC or is it a patch?
The third person ones, it's part of the, I think they call it the Winters, so what is it called? The Winters something. Yes, it's called like the Winters DLC or something like that. So it's all one, but that is supposed to be, according to what I saw, is supposed to be kind of separate.
So hypothetically, there's not a charge for that.
From what I understand, there will not be. Now, the Rose part will
of course, because
they're going to make.
But for the perspective change, that would be
I think that's going to be free.
If that was a free thing.
Don't quote me on that. I have, from what I saw, they didn't really talk about it because it's coming out in October.
Okay, that's not too far away at all. The only reason I'm reticent about it is because I remember the DLC for 7 was not very good.
Yes, and that was a free one. I got one for free.
There's paid DLCs for 7 that were not good.
Yes, the free one, I think it was like a Chris Redfield one or something.
Yeah, where you're in the mines.
Yeah, that was.
But the paid ones were like, there were some VHS tapes you could play through, and they were bad from what I could tell, like just really bad for the price tag. Yeah, there was one cool one where you go back as Zoe's uncle and you punch everyone in the bayou, which is just a fucking beautiful concept for DLC. Yes. But yeah, like that one was cool, but like I think that was the only good one, and they were still charging for like all the other like supplementary bullshit.
Yes, I think
so. That's the only reason I'm a little concerned.
I think this one might be better.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it will be better because 7s weren't that great.
But Capcom has proven to me time and time again they're not willing to do what it takes to make good games because there's not a Dragon's Dogma 2 yet.
Well, I mean, that is a true statement. There is no Dragon's Dogma 2. But you do get to play, if you play Mercenaries, you'll be able to play as Lady D and Chris Redfield. So like when they showed the footage, like she's her actual height. So you're looking down on a lot of stuff and it looked pretty cool.
That's like sick.
So I would do that. So, okay. And they showed some Resident Evil 4 remake footage.
Yes, I had heard about that.
So
a lot of the okay.
Yeah, so I am a massive Resident Evil person and I love 4. 4 did a lot of things correctly that don't really need to be changed.
I would argue that 4 is a perfect game.
It's damn near perfect.
No, genuinely, from start to finish, the experience evolves continuously.
Yes. There was no section that I hated going to play. Like I had fun playing all of them.
Even the part where you're on a lake and fighting a lake monster, and I am literally phobic of video game water. It locks me up. Like I get terrified of video game water. I was fine with that. I was like, yeah, I'm on a big fucking thing, and I hit this dude with this harpoon.
So good.
Easy peasy.
So it looks like they changed from the trailer. It looks like they changed. Like now when you go into the like at the very beginning, you go into that little town and then everybody attacks you, which is one of the best opening sequences.
Wonderful. Because then you get the title card that pops up once everyone leaves.
He's like, where's everybody going? Bingo. And it zooms out. Oh my God. Okay. So looks like it takes place at night now from the trailer. And I think it'll end up being moody, but it was something cool about fighting all that shit in the daytime.
Yeah, because like the thing that made it so scary is traditionally all the other Resident Evil games were taking place at night or in the evening.
Yep.
So this is the first time you were in not stark daylight, but you can see like it's clearly like around noon. It's cloudy and shit, but kind of sucks. I already kind of don't like that.
I'm okay. I have to give it a chance. So
the things that I can see that would be interesting about that would like make it pop. One, you could give all the villagers torches and you could have these really cool like mob following you around in torchlight. It would make some really cool visuals.
That HDR is going to be popping.
For real. But I just feel like the general like ease of that combat is going to be hindered by the fact that you can't see as well.
Okay, I got you.
Because with how restrictive the perspective was, it was pretty easy to get people like catching you from the side and like walking into ambushes. I feel like there's going to be some bullshittery with that if it's all at night.
It could be,
but that's just my gut reaction. It could be a lot of fun.
It depends on if they take some of the elements from like Resident Evil 3, like the dodge and all that.
Yeah, they
could add that in there, which will change a lot of things. So I don't know how the gameplay is going to be.
They need to add the Resident Evil 6 movement mechanics in there.
Why do we need Resident Evil 6 ones?
I genuinely really like the Resident Evil 6 movement mechanics, like where you had dodge yourself and like dive out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could just roll down hallways and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because you do stupid meme shit like just like crawling like ass forward, like aiming your gun down the hallway.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, but that takes I don't know. It doesn't.
It definitely takes the bite out of a Resident Evil game. It does. For sure.
It does. So I'm hoping that they don't add those things in, but if they add the dodge, that'd be fine because it looks like it's going to be a shit ton of enemies.
Yeah.
And you will need a dodge. Now, it looks like they took the body model from Resident Evil 2 remake for Leon
and kind of updated it
and made him look a little older.
That kind of sucks because
it kind of makes sense though.
Sure,
based on what they already have.
But I don't like how he looks compared to like the classic Leon Kennedy.
Yeah,
big hawk nosed Leon Kennedy.
And
the
swoop haircut. He still has the haircut, but he does look.
The facial structure was a big part.
Yeah, he does look like that one, just a little bit older.
Okay,
and it looks like it's. I don't know. It looks like they just did Resident Evil 2. Of course, it's the RE engine, so they're remaking it there. But
so are you worried it's going to be a lot of the same like bullet spongy kind of issues?
I am, because I feel like they're just going to take a bunch of assets from the remakes 2 and 3 and just do that game. Yeah.
So what I would find interesting in 2 and 3, you didn't have the CQC prompts that you had in 4 and 5, did you? Like where you shoot them in the leg and they stumble and then you have like a reaction where you can like kick them or whatever?
No.
So how is that going to work in 4? Because that was how you played the game ultimately. Like you never had enough bullets to shoot everybody.
We in it like in Code Veronica, we would just knife them and then they hit the ground and then you can pop them once in the head and then that's it. Or you just keep knifing them. Like we barely use stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be. The gameplay wise, they didn't show a lot.
A couple of different mechanics that I'm interested to see how they pull off. The knifing mechanics and then specifically the CQC combat, because that's what made 5 so fun. You had the tandem combos. So stupid.
Oh,
but so good.
Yes. So this looks like they're going to try to go for the more scary route than the original RE4. Simply because of the mood and the lighting and everything's
it lends itself to be a little bit spookier.
Yeah.
I will tell you, not excited to have those monk voice lines updated into like HD audio.
Lord Sadler, like a whole bunch. Yeah,
that's gonna be,
because it says it's gonna have the 3D audio, which Capcom is pushing now, the 3D audio.
For sure.
So I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to end up getting it because I'm a Resident Evil shill and I will buy all. I would just buy all the Resident Evil shit. Oh, speaking of, they last night they talked about they put out a patch to update PS4 version to the PS5 version of RE2, 3, and 7.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, and I had to do it like right away because I was like, give it to me. I need all the updates. So it does look good though. I can't front. It looks great, and it turns ray tracing on, so you can turn ray tracing on, and it gives you 60 frames a second. And I think I can't confirm if it is 4K or if it's 1440p or somewhere in between, but it's sharp as a bitch. So I loved it. Loved it.
I'd be fine with 1440p. I mean, that's what I run all my setup on.
Yeah, I mean, to get a good frame rate and high fidelity, 1440p is a good especially on the consoles.
Yeah.
Like your computer will probably like eat that for lunch. So, all right. So we have, there is a multiplayer game, Resident Evil's called Reverse, R-E-Verse. So you, I guess, go against each other on that. So that will launch in October with the rest of the DLC.
Think it's gonna be like a battle royale type of thing?
It looks like it's kind of like that.
Okay.
You know, PvP type stuff.
Their last couple of PvP tries have not been good.
They haven't. So for the Switch, they have Monster Hunter Rise, and they have a new expansion called Sunbreak. So I've never played Monster Hunter.
So I have. I played Monster Hunter World on PS4, and I played the absolute dog shit out of that game because you have to in order to. They're incredibly grindy games. I had a lot of fun because I was playing with a lot of people, and then those people stopped playing, and then the game stopped being fun. It's not a game that I enjoy playing by myself. Yeah, and it's not a game that I enjoy playing like with pickup groups. It's something where if you have like 2 or 3 people that you play with, it's like, oh, it's such a blast because you can actually like build a like set of tactics to take down monsters more efficiently. If it's just you, it feels like pulling teeth all the time. Some people are really into that style of gameplay. Oh yeah. For me, it just loses all of its allure.
It's a super popular game.
Yeah.
Like I know we were just watching just a stream of it, but I could hear the cheers from people. Like if they were doing it live, people would be cheering because people love Monster Hunter.
Yeah, so. I mean, it is an incredibly unique and like wonderful style of game, and I love that it's doing something that not a lot of other games are doing. Mm-hmm. It's just not a game for me, and that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't make it a bad game. Yeah, it's just not something that appeals to me as a solo experience.
I understand. And that's supposed to be coming out June 30th.
Okay.
There is another game called Exoprimal. It looks like a mix between Anthem and like Dino Crisis because it's with dinosaurs. So they did this.
Anthem was bad though.
But I'm talking about like the way you go around and the suits that you're wearing, like you wear exosuits and stuff. So they showed this. What was this that I think it was one of the Sony State of Play. And there's a chick in there that has the red short hair, like the chick from Dino Crisis. Oh shit! I was like, oh, they bring it back Dino Crisis, and then
it wasn't.
It wasn't Dino Crisis at all.
I'm sure it'll be available as a skin.
Pretty sure they're gonna do that. Pretty sure they're gonna do.
Monster Hunter did that, where you could get like Dante's outfit and like some other stuff. Like it's pretty common for Capcom properties to throw in other things. Anything on there about a new Dead Rising game?
No Dead Rising on here.
God damn it.
And just so we can get that part, Dragon's Dogma, they have the 10th anniversary. They just teased an event. They didn't say what it was. They just teased it. No word on the sequel, but they teased some sort of event.
So something that's kind of interesting is a Dragon's Dogma sequel actually exists. There is a Dragon's Dogma MMO that you can only play, I believe, in China. Which is weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I usually don't like shit like that.
It might be Japanese, but it's been a while since I looked into it. But yeah, there's a whole like fully MMO like style of Dragon's Dogma. Obviously, it's not quite as in depth. Yeah. Because some of those mechanics would be really weird to do in an MMO style. But yeah, like that just fully exists, and that's just something that they haven't brought to the States. Phantasy Star Online, PSO2. Was out in Japan, I believe, for a full decade before they ported it to the US.
Yeah, I remember playing that on the Dreamcast. And you, like my homeboy had the modem. You know, you could plug it up, and it was a 56K modem.
I still play Phantasy Star Online. Genuinely, I still do. Man, the game looks bad, real bad,
dated like.
But fuck me if it's not so good. Just like that game. But anyways, I'm interested to see if the event that they're teasing is possibly a port of the MMO to a US market, because frankly, MMOs are on the rise again, which is weird because microtransactions and everything like that are worse than they've ever been before.
God, microtransactions.
I mean, Diablo Immortal, like
it's $100,000 if you wanted to get everything, like level up a character fully.
This is how bad it is. And you know, I love Diablo. I installed Diablo Immortal on my PC. I logged in. I saw the spreadsheet that like popped up. It's like, click here to get the Founder Edition. You could and I was just like, exit out, uninstall. I literally have not made a character. I haven't played shit. I just saw the spread of what they wanted me to pay for before I even started playing. I was like, no, I'm good.
That's some bull.
I paid like $75 for Diablo 3 and all the expansions I got for it. I'm good with that. I'll play that forever until I shut it down. Yeah. And then when they do shut it down, someone else will like release like a private server build of it, and then we can finally mod the fucking game like we should have been able to do back in 2010. You fucking bastards.
So
anyways, that's my Diablo rant.
I don't know what's gonna happen with Dragon's Dogma.
I'm hoping something good. It could just be a re-release on PS5.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that because they need to keep the title fresh.
Yeah.
I'd love to see something new from that franchise because it's just. You ever play?
Mm-mm.
It's spoilers for Dragon's Dogma, which is a weird thing to say because that game came out in 2009.
Yeah, it's an old game.
So when you start the game, you start as another character. You're just like, oh, this is the hero that like went before you, and then you like go into character creation after that.
Okay.
When you get to the end of the game, you fight the guy that you played as, and he's like, I'm God, and you have to kill me now, and then you become God, and then you kill him, and your character becomes God, and the companion character that you made when you made that character falls to Earth and starts the cycle again, and then you have to go kill your character, and that's how you do like a new game plus. You're constantly in a cycle of dethroning your old character. I've never seen a game explain in universe the character creation process like that. And it makes perfect sense once you're like, oh yeah, like I get it. Like you've achieved everything. Your character is just like the entity that controls everything. And now you're just making new things to go fight him. But like,
that's kind of cool.
I remember the first time I beat that game, I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like I've never seen shit like this. And it's for what is effectively a very cheesy, like westernized Japanese RPG, plays great. It still plays great. I just wish it had an update because
people love it.
I want more of the thing that I like.
Yeah, people love it. Capcom doesn't like to, if it's not Resident Evil and maybe Street Fighter, they usually don't give a damn. Like they let a whole bunch of properties just kind of.
Devil May Cry. They've been pretty good about Devil May Cry, mostly because of the memes. The memes have honestly kept Devil May Cry afloat.
But if DMC didn't get such bad reception, we may not have had Devil May Cry 5.
That is true.
Because DMC was supposed to be the reboot.
It was. And I'll tell you this.
I love that game.
DMC.
Oh my God. That game was so good.
How have we never talked about this before?
I don't know. That game was so good. DMC I bought that for PS3 and I bought the definitive edition on PS4. I've beaten that game 1,000 times. I played back as Virgil because you could play through the whole game as Virgil on the definitive edition. The game is amazing.
The game is fucking good.
It's so good.
And the story was good for once. It wasn't just a cheesy like, oh, her dark soul back to lie. Like that fucking bullshit, right? It was genuine like, this is a dark, fucked up world. And like, here's all the dark, fucked up things that happen in it.
The graphics were amazing on that thing.
Considering when that came out, because I was at the tail end of 360, right?
Yeah, that was PS3 360 time.
But it was like right at the tail end, and they were like
I had it for PS3.
Fully utilizing that technology. Everything looked so good.
Oh my God.
The facial animations were wonderful.
Like I understand why people were mad because it wasn't the Dante that we knew.
Sure.
And you know, I have issues with stuff that's changing now that's like that. It's not what we came here for.
This was before its time, and it was original in a time that there was no originality. Because when that was released, everything was. It was the Call of Duty era. It was the Battlefield era. It was everything's a sequel of a sequel of a sequel of a sequel. This was like, hey, we're starting over fresh. We got a new vision, completely rewriting the lore. Dude. Everything is from the ground up, different and fucking dark.
That game was so much fun. It was so much fun. The combat was great. Everything about that game. The grapple system where you can pull yourself to, oh my god,
the one where you pull or you push or like
yes. So that forced Capcom once because they passed it off. What was it? Was it Ninja Theory?
I believe it was Team Ninja, or no? I think it was Ninja Theory.
It was one of those teams that they handed it off to and said, hey, make this game. So the Devil May Cry team didn't really mess with it.
Right.
So once that came out and the fans hated the fact, they didn't even play it. They just saw that it wasn't the Dante that they knew and loved, which I understand. They didn't even want to play it.
And
that game was so dope.
They got crucified in the reviews.
They did.
By basically the same thing. People were like, this is gross for the sake of being gross. And like, oh, it's ripping off properties who've done it much better. Like, what's the fucking, I feel so stupid now because I'm going to forget this. You put the glasses on, Obey is on all the signs.
They Live?
They Live. It was very clearly inspired by They Live in a really cool way.
I thought it was fine.
But people were like, oh, it's just ripping off They Live. And I was like, nah, it's like really different.
But do you know how many things that ripped off They Live?
Fucking everything.
Since everything was made. Like,
damn.
Yeah, it's definitely not that bad.
It's just really interesting to talk about, especially in our current like gaming climate where everything now is being reinvented and rebooted, and this did it like a solid decade before anyone else was really on that train. They got destroyed. Like, yeah,
and
it was
I
awful.
love that. I will go back and just play through that game. If I've gone through all the games that I have, I say, you know what? Let me play some DMC, and I would throw that jank in and I would rock it. It is so good.
If I go back and I play through like Devil May Cry 1, I'm skipping all the cutscenes. I just want to get to the gameplay, right?
The cutscenes were actually pretty good in that.
If I play DMC, I'm hooked. Like the characters were engaging, the development was engaging, like everything felt good. I mean, what's it feel like to be the only two people with good opinions?
Dog, it's amazing. I love that game, and then
it's so funny that we never talked about it.
And so that forced Capcom to make Devil May Cry 5, which I love it.
It's a beautiful game, but we've played that game before.
We have played that game.
It's the same.
I will have to say though, I like the fact that I could play. They make me play as all three characters.
Yes.
I think that is pretty cool because V's
cool.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I like games. I like if I'm a character, I like to have my character fight at a distance. I love to play.
I did not know that.
I love to play in that style, and V is perfect for that. And when I built him all the way up, like, because you can
add
different skills. Once I got all his skills and I used the ones that I want, I was fucking unstoppable. I could just sit back and just toss out stuff. Because you can charge up and you can read the book and walk around. That's what I did.
You're a fighting game guy. You're a combos guy.
I am a combos guy.
You know the combos and the timings and everything. When I play Devil May Cry, I'm button mashing, right? I'm like, I'm going to hit the guy up. I'm going to hit the guy down. I'm going to do the stinger 3 times. I'm going to get out of this with a C rank, and that's going to be it. Right?
Oh, no. You have to know.
You have to know the timings, when to do the delays, and like when to bring in the other hit. And like, it's just very interesting because I know how radically different we are in our approaches to this. But like, I thought V was very cool, but he was my least favorite part of the game because I was like, I'm just holding down a button and then like nothing happens. Like he's killing stuff, but like I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Whereas who actually has that intricate knowledge of how that works.
God, I love it.
I think it's really interesting that there's a character 2 people can play and have such a different experience.
Yes.
Where I didn't hate V. It wasn't unenjoyable to play him. I just didn't like feel like I was getting anything out of it. Or I really enjoyed playing Dante. But you're like, yeah, I know how to do the combos. And I build up, and like he works at a distance. I think that's wonderful.
One cool thing about V, to make it look extra sexy. So when you damage one of the enemies enough, it's like a red circle.
The circle that goes
and you hit the
I think it's like
L
extra whatever
R1 and then circle,
he stabs him
and
with
he runs to him and stabs him with a cane and does like a kill move. You can, if I would chain that shit, so you can you move around, so you can target different ones. So I get like a bunch of them with the red
And
target.
then you just zip
boom,
around.
boom, boom, and knock them all out. And it's so beautiful. And then you see your shit rack up, and I get like S rankings and stuff. Dog, so good. So when you have the option of playing like Nero or V, I always choose V. My first playthrough, I chose Nero because I felt more connected to Nero because I played with him in Devil May Cry 4. So
I thought 4 was good too.
Thought 4 was pretty good. I hated the boss rush at the end. Like
it was very stupid. Well, yeah, the fact that you play up to halfway through the game and then you're just backtracking throughout the whole thing, that was fucking lazy.
Pissed me off. But dude, V is dope. Like as far as his story goes, but playing as him, it's excellent. It's like one of my favorite. Him and Dante, I can throw Nero off to the side because he's too regular. And the arm shits.
The prosthetics were okay. I only ever ended up using the one that shot rockets. I think that was like the blast of the rocket. That was the only one I ever used.
Dante,
and I never actually activated it. I just punched people with
it. That's what I did too. I would punch people and make the combos go up. Right. But Dante was absolutely insane. Dog, this dude had so many
the fucking
shit.
hat.
The Michael Jackson shit,
absolutely.
But it takes your souls away.
No,
your orbs.
I use that shit nonstop because it builds up your combo faster, and if you kill the thing, you get that multiplier.
Yeah, you get them back.
So I was making that's how I farmed red orbs. I was going through like, they fucking what is Virgil's name before he turns the big dude?
Oh yeah, at the very beginning and then at the very end.
At the end when he's walking around, you can throw the hat up on him. He's got the fucking like cowboy hat on. He's like stomping around. Looks so stupid.
So Devil May Cry 5, I played through that thing at least 4 or 5 times already. And Dante's sections, when you play as Dante, I had so much fun just because he has all types of crazy weapons. He has the nunchucks. He has motorcycle that you can clap like the tires move and you just it's so good. It's so good. I'm trying to get my homeboy Wildebeest to play Devil May. He said he
not played it.
He doesn't like Devil May Cry games. He said the combat is clunky, and I'm like, bro,
I actually agree,
bro. But it's so much fun. Though.
But it is fun. Well, how does he feel about Bayonetta?
I don't even know if he's played Bayonetta.
If he thinks Devil May Cry is clunky,
I love Bayonetta.
Bayonetta is strictly the answer to that question. Because Bayonetta feels fucking good to play. Hello, Mufasa.
I love Bayonetta so much.
Here, boy.
That's another game that I've purchased like 1,000 times, and I wish I had a Switch so I could play 2. And then
I've never played 2
and then 3 is going to be coming out soon, so I would like to play those things, but I don't have a Switch.
This is my son. Okay, he's not going to say anything.
So, last thing on the list of Summerfest stuff, Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, and I figured that's the one that you're probably the most hype about because
I am also a Street Fighter shill, and I hate to admit it, but I suffered through Street Fighter 5. And why I say suffer is because I bought that thing day one. Downloaded it. I stayed up to download it at midnight when it was available, like once it hits the PlayStation and it downloads. And I turned it on. I was like, well, I gotta go to work, but I do want to see what's going on with it. And I look at it and it has like no modes. And I was pissed. It didn't even have an arcade mode.
Yep.
Like what fighting game? Like that's the bare minimum.
They released that game like as an alpha. Is what it felt like. Because like it had nothing.
It had absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So when they did all the updates, so they did all these different updates. They added the arcade mode. They added a story mode. They did this and did that. Now it had the arcade mode, and it was called Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition. Then they had Champion Edition, and now blah 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 blah. Right. So the game is really good. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. Street Fighter 5 is great. The one thing I don't like, though, some of the cast. I wish Street Fighter 4, Ultra Street Fighter 4, so many goddamn. Ultra Street Fighter 4 has the best roster, period. Because it brings back ones from old days, plus the new ones. Everything is just mixed all into one.
So I've heard people complain about the roster for 5, but I'm not very familiar with the roster for the Street Fighter games. What is it about 5 that makes it so shit?
Okay, so we have Nikali, who is he's a new character. And what I hate about a lot of these things, they bring in new characters that are so important to the lore. And it's like, you just brought them in. We've been playing all these games for decades. And now all of a sudden this new character is like a big dog.
The biggest, most important.
Dumb shit. So I hate that. Nikali was one. Fong was another one.
Fong?
Mm-hmm. Fang. And it has like, but they pronounce it Fong.
Is
He's the dude with the
Chinese
stupid hat. Yep. And he has the crane style.
Yeah.
Lame.
I've seen him.
Lame.
Because again, I watch a lot of fighting game videos, but as you very well know, I do not enjoy playing.
You do not enjoy playing them.
But I love watching it because seeing people, perform at a technical level is always impressive.
It's great.
But I'm bad at fighting games. So just like full out bad. I'm good at one fighting game or one franchise, and that's Soul Calibur.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mortal Kombat with Jason Voorhees.
No, I'm not good at Mortal Kombat. I know the button combination to make Jason Voorhees teleport behind you, and I don't need to be good.
I hate it so much.
It's the best part. The best part, the thing that always fucking gets me is when I do it, I do the mystic, and then I come out choking you. It's not shaking.
I hate it.
Walks out. Yeah.
I absolutely hate Jason Voorhees and Mortal Kombat X.
And that's the only character I can beat him with because the character's fucking cheating full on.
It's the worst.
It's so goddamn funny.
So with Street Fighter 5, I didn't like the roster. There's certain people in the roster I didn't like.
Did they feel like overpowered, or did they just feel like superficially inflated?
Just
in terms
dumb.
Of important?
Like Fong is just dumb. And they replaced him. They replaced Sagat with him. So they have the 4 kings.
Yeah.
And Sagat is gone, and now Fong is there. But I understand story-wise why, because Sagat kind of went away from the evil shit, and he's starting to do good stuff for his homeland and all that.
Okay.
But when I think of the Mount Rushmore of villains in Street Fighter, he's not in there.
Yeah.
He's not in there. So it's just little choices like that. But they did bring back some cool characters. Like they have a good roster because you get different styles for everybody. But it's just certain people in there that just like Seth. Seth was a villain. He was the boss in Street Fighter 4.
Right. He's the guy who has like the yin and yang core.
Exactly. So they Disney-fied him and turned him into a woman.
I remember that. Yeah. So what's the deal with?
When you go through the story mode, it doesn't explain it. Story mode is shit on Street Fighter 5. Mind you, I've been spoiled. NetherRealms has spoiled me
because that
with story mode. Oh. They're so good. So
because it gives you more information than you would ever feasibly want.
Yeah.
And then if you want more, you can go into the crypt and like get all the extra like filler.
NetherRealms, they know how to keep a single, like if you're a single player, they know how to keep you engaged.
You know what they don't know how to do?
That
make a Duke Nukem game.
I mean they don't, but they make some good MK games though. They brought the series back. Like MK was pretty much dead.
Yeah, before was it 9?
Yeah, MK9 was the
was the reboot one.
And I love it. But with Street Fighter, now they have at the very end of Street Fighter 5's run, I guess you can call it.
End of life.
They added in a character named Luke. So Luke now is supposed to be one of the main protagonists in 6.
Right.
Which, okay.
Yeah, like who the fuck is that?
So I've learned how to use Luke. And I will say, it's actually kind of fun to use. So I can't hate on him too much, but I don't want him to be Ryu's replacement. Ryu is like a staple.
Ryu's also canonically like 80 years old now.
I mean, yes, but I mean, in martial arts, the older you get, the more powerful. You know, that's how that usually
100%.
That's usually how it rolls. So I would hope that they don't like overdo it with Luke. Like we have legacy characters that we still want to see. We're coming back for a lot of these legacy characters. So you need to treat them well while introducing the new people.
Are there any legacy characters they haven't brought back yet?
Well, they've only announced 4 people. We've only seen 4 people for Street Fighter 6.
I'm talking about in like 4 and 5. Was there anyone they left by the wayside?
Not completely.
Okay.
It's just about everybody is there. Let me think. Well, yeah, just about everybody is. So, just as an example, though, when Street Fighter 5 released, Guile was not part of he was DLC. We had to wait like damn near almost 2 years.
You had to wait for Sonic Boom?
We had to wait for Guile, who is a staple in Street Fighter.
One of the most iconic characters, if not the, because Ryu, everyone knows Ryu, but everyone knows Guile's theme.
Yep.
Like
everybody knows Guile's theme. We didn't have E Honda. Like it was just people that were just
some
missing.
staple characters that are just not there.
That's why Street Fighter 4 right now has the best roster, in my opinion. They by far have the best roster. Well, Ultra Street Fighter 4, because they brought everybody back. So it's actually really, really good. Street Fighter 6 looks like it's going to be awesome, though. Like visually, it looks great. Gameplay looks great.
Has the art style changed at all from like the style they've adopted since 4, like 4 and 5?
It is still the pseudo 3D, like the 3D models on the 2D plane, but they're using the RE engine on this one.
Oh.
So the characters look like they have actual skin, like they look fleshy now.
Oh, and they're not just like made out of granite.
Yeah, they look gotcha. Fleshy. Now, controversy already. I was reading this before we started recording.
It's too early for controversy.
I know. Before we started recording, I was looking at Twitter, and they are upset. Well, they're reporting because it's going to lead to people being upset. But you know how Dead or Alive is famous for breast physics, and they even had breast physics in Street Fighter 5.
It's pretty common for fighting games now to have pretty rigorous breast physics.
But now there's a controversy about to start. I guarantee it's going to start. They had jiggle physics to Chun-Li's butt. Like they show a section, she hits the ground and you can see, and then like when she does kicks and stuff, you can see that moving. I think that's pretty cool just because it adds a hint of realism.
Yeah.
And when you use the RE engine is known for stuff like that.
Right. Like the whole reason you have that engine, so you have this little like minute details.
Yes. So, but I know since it's been put out there, it's going to be a controversy.
I give you boy.
Hanson.
Walter. I think you did. Oh, sorry.
So it is.
Mufasa just killed my wife. She's dead. So the. I don't think we're gonna get into God of War today. The topic of sexuality in video games, like as sex appeal and things that are. There's a line between crass and class. Dead or Alive crosses it a lot of the time. In the actual game itself, it's like whatever. Like if you have alternate outfits or you know, the titty physics can get pretty wild sometimes.
They
like
at the age to 99 and she's standing still and they're still bouncing. Yes.
But like Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball, that's an optional side game.
Yep.
Like you can engage with that if you want to.
That don't add anything to the overall story.
Yeah, it's not anything in the lore, you know, and I get it. Like sex sells. Being upset that a game has or doesn't have jiggle physics is a strange line to draw. Just in general, I think.
Yeah.
But conversely, I think that dudes should have jiggle physics as well. I think their cock should be jangling around in their gi.
Speaking of, do you remember when they did the Street Fighter 6 reveal trailer and it was Luke? They showed a close up of Luke, like they go around the body so they can show the detail. And then there's a section where they're showing Ryu, like they're coming, it's like an angle, weird angle up at him, and you can see his muscle flex. They like people were like zooming in on his crotch area and say, "Oh, I can see his imprint and all that stuff." But they say this is the hot Ryu though. The hot Ryu has the beard and like he looks gruff. So they were like, oh god, like this is the ridiculous. But humans do that, dude.
Yeah,
that's just what we do.
We attach sexual characteristics to everything.
Everything.
We anthropomorphize. It's fucking everything.
It's just the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's just how it is. So for some dude to point out the fact that he noticed in a video that Chun-Li had butt physics was insane. Because when I was watching the footage, I guess I wasn't paying attention to that. I was like seeing how the combos work and how it like hits, how you can combo into certain moves. I was like, okay. Yeah. But when they showed the replay and then they like zoom in on it, it does. It jiggles. She thick. She always been thick.
She's always been thick. So,
always been thick.
Yeah, like it's something that comes up in a lot of things that I enjoy because there's been an ongoing conflict in pretty much every type of media that I enjoy between, you know, what is over sexualization and what is realistic representation of sexual characteristics. And I don't have the answer to that.
I don't either.
I don't think any one person does. But I think it comes up to your individual preference. All I'm going to say is like, I don't think that having a butt jiggle when you kick is pornographic. I think that's pretty like a realistic thing to have happen. And like as someone who has done martial arts and has sparred with men and women, bits jiggle. They just do when you fight.
Shit, they jiggle when you walk.
Right. Like
you go down the stairs, things jiggle.
Pretty normal thing. Now, do I think it's weird that there are dudes who are like fixated on that as a feature and like, dog, I'm gonna buy Street Fighter 6 because I need to see that ass
jiggle.
Yeah, like they just get like really into it. Final Fantasy 7, the remake, had a very famous controversy when it was getting released. Do you remember what that was?
I do not.
They made Tifa wear a sports bra underneath her outfit so that she didn't jiggle as much. She still jiggled, but it was a realistic like containment.
Yeah, containment jiggle.
Right. The fucking outcry was insane.
Tifa stacked though.
Right. Like
Tifa
she's
stacked.
And again, she's always been like a video game sex icon. But yeah, people were like legitimately like, we need to boycott this fucking game because they won't let us see her fucking nipples. Like, yeah, it was fucking wild.
That is insane. It's I don't understand. One thing they showed, they had a leak for the Street Fighter 6 roster, and they showed Cammy. And you know, Cammy usually wears like like a bathing suit.
It's a skin tight leotard.
Yeah,
like it's like
And you know, it's usually a lot of skin showing. She's pretty much covered up. Like just about everybody's covered up in this one because it has more of a hip hop feel because the music is more hip hop. The logo is in graffiti. The Capcom logo, they show the Capcom logo in graffiti. So it has more of a hip hop new age feel to it. So everybody is wearing different clothing, not their classic stuff. I like the way Guile looks, by the way. If you get an opportunity to look at Guile, he looks dope as shit. He even has a beard now.
Hell yeah.
So they were complaining that Cammy was covered up. And for me, I know they're going to release a costume and they're going to make it DLC and you got to pay for the classic costume.
Sure.
I know how Capcom works. I've sat through all their games like that.
I really don't think stuff like that is a big deal. Like,
I don't think so either.
But I don't know. Whenever I hear about stuff like this, I always have to like try and put myself in the shoes of someone who does really care about this as an issue. It's like, what if there's someone who like really identified with, you know, like, oh, like I play this character because she has a cool outfit. Like that's why I really got into her. And the fact they're changing her outfit like throws me off now. Right. Extreme example, probably not the case, but could be. But I don't think it's an unfixable issue.
No, they just released the costumes. Right. They're just bringing the costumes back. You just have to pay for them.
Right. You have the options.
And like Chun-Li doesn't show leg anymore. Like she's covered up. She has a similar outfit. It's almost like a combination of her regular Street Fighter 2 outfit that we know and love and the Street Fighter Alpha one when she's in the full bodysuit. Okay. It's almost like a blend of that. Like it's the top section is like the classic and then the bottom section still has the long flap, but she doesn't have bare legs or stockings on anymore and high boots. It's more like the bottom half from the Alpha series.
Okay.
Which is, it's fine. I don't really care. I don't really care. I'm there to be honest, I'm there for the gameplay. I'm there to whoop some ass with my favorite characters.
I'm there to jerk off to video game women. That's why I play.
Why you're upset.
That's why I play any video game. Because my respect for women in real life is directly correlated to the amount of naked women I can see in a video game. And the lower that number goes, the more I disrespect women in real life. That's my metric.
Speaking of that, I remember when I was young and I saw I played Fatal Fury for the first time.
Yeah.
For the SNES. And my mom used to work at a bank, and they had a video store that was right behind where she worked. And she knew the owner because the owner used to come in there all the time. So my mom would rent me a game, go there, rent the game, and then bring it on home. And, they give them like a discount or whatnot because, it was my mom. She brought home Fatal Fury because the guy told her it was like the newest game for the SNES. She brought it home, popped it in, playing around with it. I chose and she did the me bouncy at the end, and my young brain was like, oh my God. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And that's, but that's
just your whole sexual awakening happening all at the same time.
And then it went ridiculous. It got even worse as time went on because when Dead or Alive came out, and that is a feature. Like you can dial it in or turn it all the way up. So you turn the age to 99 and then you just see all the stuff.
Right.
But after a while, the novelty wears off and you just play the game.
You're playing the game.
You just play the game. Yeah. So the butt jiggle, hopefully it doesn't become a controversy.
It's very interesting to me. Finish that thought.
No, that was it.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there. Just as a reflection on American society, we are very puritanical when it comes to sex and depictions of sexuality. It's just very interesting the things that we fixate on, but we're like super okay with hardcore depictions of like violence and torture and things like that. That literally never even grazes a radar. But talking about a boobie moving, and all of a sudden we have a fucking national crisis.
Yeah.
So I'm not a guy who's like, oh, violent video games are the root of all evil. I just think it's interesting that we like put so much stock on like, if we let our children see a boobie move in a video game, they're gonna grow up and be sex offenders, and there'll be no stopping them. But you could apply that same logic to like Call of Duty, and come to a similar conclusion, and nobody really does. Like when you hear about the outrage, it's usually just about like, hey, a boobie moved. They're like the Call of Duty series. I remember Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2 each had their own controversies. Modern Warfare 1 for depicting the explosion and survival shortly of a nuclear explosion, and then in 2 of the mass shooting in an airport.
And they patched it and made it optional. Made the whole thing optional.
But the sequence, in my opinion, lends a lot to why the story moves the way that it does. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a tangent, but I just think it's very interesting the things that we choose to fixate on culturally.
Yes.
Individually, we both like seeing women's bits, I think, right?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I would 100% say yes.
I'm a fan of boobies and butts.
Yeah, big time. And you know what? I know a couple ladies that get upset when they can't take off armor in certain games. I know a couple people that get pissed off and they like, I want to wear something skimpy. I want my character to wear something skimpy.
Did you know that Tori is one of those people?
Really?
She gets... Anytime I get her to play a game, she's like, why can't I dress like a whore? Because that's what I want my character to look like. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. If that's how you want to like represent your character, go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a customization section, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want.
Yes.
Like, seriously. But
it's very interesting that the values that we ascribe to, like, oh, like this is a good outfit. This is a strong, good representation for women. And this is a bad representation for women. And obviously I'm not a woman. I'm not super qualified to make those types of statements.
Can't make those statements. But I have noticed that a lot of the media around there now are just turning women into dudes. Like there's some women, like women are special because they have feminine qualities and they can use their femininity to do things that dudes can't do. So it's not appealing when you're watching a woman on screen and she just acts like a dude. Like it's, for instance, I'll use this as an example, and this is definitely not what we're talking about, but we may as well just run with it.
Yeah, fuck it.
The movie, The 355. It has an all-women cast. It has an old girl from Black Panther and Jessica Chastain and what was the one we just talked about this earlier? Penelope Cruz. Okay. So it has all these people in it, right? And they're all women. They all have different sets of skills, but they're not very feminine. Penelope Cruz was the most feminine one, and she was the one that was like a doctor, and she didn't fight. Like she wasn't a fighter. She wasn't a secret agent or anything. She just got mixed into it. That movie, you could have literally substitute dudes into that and kept the same dialogue and everything, and it would have been the same. That doesn't appeal to me because I don't necessarily want my women to act like dudes. That doesn't necessarily show power to me.
Interesting. So does that, because when I think about examples like that, I think of movies like Annihilation
with Natalie Portman.
Yes, where it's like the cast is all female, but they could easily be interchanged for male counterparts. Like them being male or female doesn't really like change the story at all. I see that as a strength because then it comes to the personality of the individual actor to bring something to that role.
Anything. They just brought dude mannerisms and attitude to it.
What is dude mannerisms and attitude? So context. Because for context, I haven't seen the fucking movie.
So have you ever seen Atomic Blonde?
I've seen clips from it. That's
Charlize.
Charlize Theron, and she's like a spy in Russia, and she wears a blonde wig, and she kicks the shit out of a bunch of dudes.
Okay, so
that's about all I got.
Yeah, so Atomic Blonde, she was still feminine. Like, dudes found her attractive.
Right, she leveraged her femininity in scenarios to bring people's guard down and to,
That's the advantage that women have over dudes. We don't have feminine charms that we could go charm somebody or do something.
The Boondock Saints would have me largely disagree with you.
But you saw how ridiculous that was.
Yes.
So,
but goddamn, is it not one of the funniest sequences?
Another sequence, another one that I always point to. So Atomic Blonde is one. She still was feminine. She still could whip ass. Yeah. You can have both. My girl Halle Berry in John Wick 3.
Yeah.
She was fine as hell. She still dressed like a woman. She still acted like a woman, but she will shoot the shit out of you. And she had those dogs at the same time. She still was a woman.
But I don't think that acting like a dude makes you not a woman.
But what they did in the 355, the characters were like blank. They had no personality. Like it was just okay.
I'm gonna need more context because this just sounds like a shitty movie.
It is a shitty movie.
Okay.
It's a middle of the road, mediocre movie.
Okay.
Because you got nothing from it. You got no personality. Sure, you got attitude, but that doesn't mean
attitude is not personality.
That's not personality.
Distinction.
And the only person that I felt that had a personality in that movie was Penelope Cruz because towards the end she started to get more badass because she's hanging around a bunch of badasses. So she overall to me was the best character because she actually went through a story arc and she
had growth.
She had the ability to be a woman and fight. You don't have to be a stone cold dude just to be powerful. And that's what I feel like in a lot of media now, like Galadriel and the Rings of Power that they're about to do. Her strength was the fact that she was feminine and she still was powerful. And the previous Lord of the Rings things.
Yeah.
Now they made her warrior Galadriel, and she's just a dude. Like the way she's sitting, even on the cover of that magazine, she's just sitting like a dude. She has her mannerisms like a dude. That's not like, we don't need that. Like it's cool to have the distinctions between a man and a woman in your storytelling. It's okay. You don't everybody doesn't have to be, to show that you're a badass doesn't mean you have to act like Stone Cold Steve Austin every few seconds.
I think I get what you're saying now. And I think the way that you're saying it is triggering something in my head to want to disagree with you. But I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is a woman being powerful does not necessitate that she emulate a man.
Correct.
A woman can be powerful on her own merits through her own actions. Mm-hmm. It is not necessary for her to be evocative of a man.
Yes. Okay. And another example is Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Bayonetta is like
incredibly feminine character.
Yes, but she destroys stuff. Like, she's a badass.
She wrecks shop. And talking about the difference between personality and attitude, she has a personality. Like, she truly does.
She is an amazing character.
Yes.
So
with how little story there is for you to go off of in Bayonetta, like, they flesh her out remarkably well. But by the end of that first game, you're like, this character fucking rocks. Because honestly, when I first started playing Bayonetta, I was playing it by myself, and I was like, thank God no one's watching me play this, because this is one of the most like embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life. Like, fucking Fly Me to the Moon is playing in the background, and she's like fucking like full on like pole dancing and shooting people.
But it's amazing.
And then it went on, and I was like, no, like, this is her. Like, this is a performance. This is just what she does.
This is what she does.
And I was like, okay.
She's a very strong female character. I would take Bayonetta and put her up against lots of these dudes that are out here.
Absolutely.
Like, shit, she can mess with Dante.
Well, that's the thing is, I think video games historically have much better representations of strong females being independent of emulating males than traditional forms of media. It's
today's movies and media that are transforming this, because we've had characters in the past that could be feminine and be strong. Look at Ripley from Alien.
I was going to say, look at any of the females in Alien and Aliens. I always forget her name, but the one heavy gunner lady from Aliens.
Yes.
She's a fucking, she rocks.
And I feel like they try not to over sexualize women now because of, controversies and things like that. But at the same time, they take away what makes them unique and cool what makes them a woman. They take that away.
Yeah. So I think I get it. Like in their tipping of the scales. So in order for them to feel elevated towards what they see as a quality, like in the male representation, they're robbing them of their femininity and ability to express that.
Exactly.
Okay. And I think I agree with that.
And like my homeboy and I were playing what's the name of that game, man? Streets of Rage 4. And
is that the new one?
Yeah, that's the newest one. We played it on.
It came out like a year ago.
Yeah, had it on Xbox Game Pass.
How was that? Because I used to love the Streets of Rage games.
We started playing just to sample it, and we ended up finishing the whole game. It was great. We had a blast. So those characters, they have 2 female characters and 2 dudes.
Because that was the original lineup too, right?
Yes, but I think these. Yes, it was the original lineup. So you have 2 females, 2 dudes. The females are females. Like, they don't have like a female tank. Like that when you look at the anatomy, that wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't be right. It's okay. I'm a small male. I'm not gonna walk around and try to do shit that a 6'6", 350-pound dude will do. It's okay. We all can be different. They don't have to make everybody the same on the same level every time. When you look at that game, the women have certain things that the dudes don't have, and the dudes can do stuff that the women can't do. So if you build a team, you can strategize on if you want somebody to be quick and who can heal faster or who doesn't take as much. You organize it. But when you take that out of the game and put it into a movie, if they made a Streets of Rage movie, that movie would have the black dude that is, he was a black dude. He's probably like 6'6", 250, punching through walls and stuff, right? But you would also have the small 5'2", 80-pound woman doing the same thing, because they don't, people don't understand we are different, and it's okay. Women can be different than men and still be equal. We can still give them equal pay, but physically, sometimes they're just not the same. I'm not the same as you. I'm not. Like, I can't do some of the stuff, like lift the things that you can lift based on my body type. I can't bowl a dude over like you could bowl a dude over. It's okay to have that, but people now, they don't want that.
I can't climb up a set of stairs without wanting to fucking die. So, you know,
we're different,
right? I can't crawl underneath a house to fix wiring.
If we were in a game, you would be like, stairs would be your crux, and I couldn't lift heavy shit.
I would be the you know, big red, weak to stairs.
Yep. And mine would be, I'm not that strong, you know, it's in comparison.
Right.
So my point is, just overall, so we can move on. I hate the fact that women just can't be women anymore in modern movies and TV and stuff. Video games, they still allow that to happen. Like video games, we still have instances and characters that are women, feminine, and can still whoop your ass. And we have characters that are still male that are stronger than the females in certain aspects, and vice versa. It's just how life is a balance.
Also, I will say that video games have done a much better job representing males as being allowed to feel and have what are considered traditionally feminine traits.
Yes.
So I like that it goes both ways on
that. Exactly.
I do think that women get sexualized in video games more often.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's the audience.
Right.
It's the audience.
It's a product being marketed to an audience. But I also feel like there are properties and characters that would appeal to anyone of any gender.
Absolutely.
Regardless of
anime too.
Yeah, anime is a really good
anime is very huge, and there's characters in it from every spectrum.
Correct.
Without pandering.
Well, I mean, some of them pander, but you have properties that can go without pandering.
Yeah, I mean, pandering is everywhere. Like, people pander, but when you watch like a popular series, they don't pander as much as our American stuff. Like,
that's true.
Like, people are built on pandering nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like everything. Look at Disney. Disney is huge in pandering. So, I just wanted to say that I feel like the 355, that movie, if you haven't seen it, check it out, and so you can feel me on this statement. The 355 suffered because they didn't allow the female characters to be female. They all were dudes, just cast with women. Like, it's like they wrote it for dudes and like, oh shit, we can't have a movie with nothing but dudes. We'll just make it all female cast. Sort of like Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, it wasn't the fact that the women were in it, it's just the fact it wasn't good.
Right.
It wasn't good. And even if you substitute dudes in that, it still wouldn't have been a funny movie.
The writing still doesn't hold up.
It wasn't good. It just wasn't good.
Right.
And I just hope that we can get back to a point where we can have characters. Like, when I watched the original Lord of the Rings, I didn't say, you know what? Galadriel, she's weak. She was actually dope as hell.
I mean, she literally has a whole monologue about how she's like, I will be a dread queen, terrible yet behold. And it's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, she was a badass.
Like, again, that's one of the franchises that I think had some of the best representations. Period. You had very like men that were very feminine in appearance and grace in terms of like the elves, typically speaking. And then you had female characters that were incredibly strong and resilient and endured hardships that were like unbelievable. Eowyn.
Yep.
God damn, what a trooper.
I'm telling you, man.
Like, yeah. So granted, there aren't many female characters.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's a product of the times that the Lord of the Rings series was written, but I don't know. I feel like if being people that really like video games, like that's my primary source of media. I don't really consume a whole lot outside of that. I like that I can play a game and have an experience that I feel would appeal to most people. Like most of the games that I play have an option for character customization that, you know, grant you a multitude of options. Something interesting that Elden Ring did. So Dark Souls, whenever you make a character, it's like male, female, male, female, male, female. Elden Ring, they just give you your body type and they say masculine or feminine. And then there is no like gender selection.
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, that's a really small thing, but a really cool step forward, especially for a Japanese game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I don't know. I think to touch back on your point, which is a really good point. Chun-Li's butt jiggling does not make her weak.
It doesn't make her weak.
It doesn't reduce her efficacy as a character. It doesn't take away from the tragedy of her backstory.
It doesn't. She's the first lady of Street Fighter.
Correct.
She was the first woman in there, and people love her. She has a huge fan base.
Yeah, and not just off of her physical characteristics.
Nope.
She's just a badass.
She's a badass.
And she always has been.
And Chun-Li, when you look at her costumes throughout the years and like the different DLC ones, she's always pretty, feminine, like graceful.
Yep.
And she will beat your shit in, and it's amazing. So that's the thing I don't understand why it has to change. Chun-Li, Cammy, all these, like even Cammy. Cammy is more gruff than Chun-Li because she's
she's like a spec ops person. Yeah,
exactly. But she still is feminine.
Yeah.
And she still like lets her hair down. Like when you watch some of the anime and cutscenes and stuff, she lets her hair down. She wearing dresses. And Sakura, same thing. Yep. Sakura is you know, a tomboy. But every now and then she puts on, she's still feminine, but she will Hadouken the shit out of you, son. And she loves Ryu, which is almost borderline creepy.
It's fully creepy. It's just
she is obsessed with some Ryu.
It's just creepy. So yeah, I just, you know, I think that in media, femininity should be allowed to present without the bias of being perceived as weak.
Yep.
And
100%. That's all I was trying. I know I went around the world and I had to use examples.
I don't want your point to be misconstrued, because someone who's barely paying attention could take it to mean like women aren't allowed to act masculine because that makes them not women. And it's like that's not what you're saying.
No way.
You're saying that removing their femininity and replacing it with masculinity in lieu of any other personality or trait or characteristic is not good character building.
It's not good character building at all. And it makes for lame things. Like the just immediate, like when I see these things, it's like, this is not necessary. Like you don't need to do that. Another example that I have is Michelle Rodriguez.
Fucking rules. I love her in everything.
Yes, she can play a masculine woman that will whoop your shit. She can play a feminine, like she is the perfect blend in the Fast and Furious saga, because her love for Dom is unbreakable. She is she is the ride or die chick that you would want in your life. Dom had a baby with another woman while she was still alive. He didn't know she was alive, but still, she still embraced that damn child. But at the same time, when the chips are down and you need someone to whoop,
she's ready to throw down.
She's right there. She's riding bikes. She's jumping shit, blowing up stuff.
I think that she's
amazing.
I believe that she was the standout performance of the first Resident Evil movie.
Oh, by far.
Like she blew it out of the by far. She took that assignment and she fucking ate it for breakfast.
Yes.
She was like, yeah, I'm a battle hardened like private military operative, but then I get stuck in a shitty situation, and like she played everything perfect to the T. And like she's sensitive. Yeah. She's a hard ass, and like she has the whole
Michelle Rodriguez is my boo. So
she rocks.
She goes around. She can do it all.
She really can.
And when you create a character that's not a real human like Michelle Rodriguez, you get better stories if you have someone that's kind of well-rounded, unless that person is supposed to be one-dimensional for the story's sake.
Correct.
If you just put one in there to check a box, that's not good storytelling.
Right. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with that more. Like, having someone be one-dimensional in service of the story to show where they start and where they grow to, that can be a solid form of writing. Making someone one-dimensional because you have nothing else, and you're like, all right, storyboard, we got one trait. This person is a badass. And then that's it. There's no other trait. There's no other backstory.
Yep.
Like, that shit sucks.
It sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. So hopefully you guys out there and ladies understand what I'm talking about. I'm definitely not saying that you can't, like, women just can't be masculine, whatever. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the grand scheme of it, people get lazy with writing.
Correct.
And they just make these one-dimensional characters, and people deserve more.
And honestly, that is more in service of pandering than anything else. Because, you know, you look at that, it's like, oh, it's an all-female cast. Like, finally, like, get some good representation. And then it's just like, there was no script. There is no overarching story. There's no growth for any of these characters.
Nothing.
No, there's no payoff for these characters being the way that they are.
Nothing.
But then, again, like, my go-to when I think of like an all-female cast is, you know, Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all written phenomenally. Mm-hmm. Like, they are just fantastic start to finish. Every character in there just feels like a person.
Feels like a person.
And it's not hinging on the fact that they are feminine, but their femininity brings something to their performance.
Yes. Because it brings something to real life.
Yes.
Like, femininity, if you're a woman and you're a feminine woman, but you still are a badass, it just adds that extra dimension.
Correct.
And I hate when they just don't do that. Like, lazy writing has become ridiculous these days, man. On big franchises too.
Enormous franchises.
Big like billion-dollar franchises. Lazy writing has taken over everything.
Tell me 3 traits, like personality traits, of Rey.
She knows how to do everything.
That's not a personality trait.
But she knows how to do everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. She knows how to do everything.
She knows how to do everything. She has simps. Well, at least one simp.
Okay.
And let's see. The Force is female. That's all I got.
When did that last one come up?
You haven't seen the shirts that Kathleen Kennedy wears?
Yeah.
Okay. The Force is female.
Gotcha.
The Force is female.
Right. Because it's supposed to be like God is a woman.
Yeah.
Okay,
and she stands there with like a bunch of people, and
okay.
Force is female.
Because I was like, that line like seems familiar to me, but yeah, you're
Force is female.
It's one of those shirts. The Force is the Force.
Force is Force.
But yeah, like when I look at, you know, Star Wars, and I look at, you know, original trilogy Princess Leia, and then I look at Rey. Hell, even Padme, right? Because
even Padme.
The prequels are not well written or well directed, but like there's something there. There's the soul of something that was a kernel of something that cared about. When I look at the new trilogy, it's like the only character that I remotely give a shit about is Kylo Ren, because he's the only one that's written like a character is written.
Yes.
Finn had the potential to be fucking amazing. Finn would have been the coolest motherfucker, and they ruined him in the second movie, and they wasted him in the third. They
ruined him. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because Finn, I have a friend of mine that used to work with us. She gave us all Star Wars figures to represent who we were, you know, how she felt about us in there. And I think
did she give you Finn?
She gave me Finn. And she said, I said, well, have you seen the rest of them? She said, I only saw Force Awakens. And I was like, all right, I'm not as offended now, because they straight ruined Finn.
Fucking run him into the dirt.
You have a dude who used to be a stormtrooper who left. Do you know the story that you could tell with that? And he's black. That checks that box right there for you. If you wanted to,
there's so much you can do. So what's wild is,
my God.
So our buddy Joel, he's really into the Star Wars novels, and he read the Force Awakens novels that accompanied that movie, which goes into the backstory of Finn and like who he actually was. And it's like he was actually like the top of his class. He was like one of the best stormtroopers in his class, but he stopped taking orders. Like they have like a obedience index, and he kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and it finally breaks when they go down to the one planet. But like that's why when the one stormtrooper is like traitor, because like he was like the best they had in their like platoon or whatever. So like it adds so much more depth to it, and you can see that like I don't know. I forget the actor's name. Help me out here.
Finn's
actor.
Oh God.
It's like on the tip of my tongue.
It is. Oh God.
Oh fuck.
Oh my God. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, like the performance that he brings in the first movie, it's like he nails every single aspect of it. He's reluctant. He's scared.
John Boyega. I didn't even get there. I didn't even finish typing in. It is John Boyega.
John Boyega.
Because he was in the Jaeger movie. Jaeger and Kaiju. God damn it. Pacific Rim. He was in the second one.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the second one.
Uprising, yes.
I heard it was not good.
It's fun. And it's loud and it's beautiful to look at. So
fair enough. But yeah, so John Boyega just brings so much to that performance where like you can see the reluctance, you can see that he's scared, and then like he's shit scared of Kylo Ren and the absolute desperation with which he turns and faces him with the lightsaber.
Oh
like,
my God.
Fucking, it's so good. And then he gets the shit kicked out of him.
God.
And then what do they do to set up that final confrontation with Kylo Ren? They send him on a wild goose chase to a casino planet with a young Asian girl.
Oh my God.
But it's okay because the young Asian girl used to grow up on a planet just like this, and they're gonna release all the beasts, and everything's gonna be okie dokie on that planet. God. Hey, the movie ends with a kid moving a broom with the Force, and that means everything they did was worth it, right?
They wasted Finn.
They wasted 2.5 hours of my fucking time.
Oh yeah.
First of all, but yes, Finn was set up to be such a beautiful character because he clearly wasn't going to be the Luke Skywalker.
Nope.
Because we already had the Luke Skywalker. And he clearly wasn't going to be the Han Solo because we already had the Han Solo. So who was he going to be? He was going to be a new fucking character. And what did they do with him? Fuck all. Because
they needed to elevate Rey.
They needed to elevate Rey. But the thing is, like, the entirety of the new Star Wars trilogy feels like this one quote that I use all the time because it's very funny to me. But it is not enough that I should succeed. Others must also fail. Right? And it's like, it's not enough that Rey is great. Everyone else has to be dog shit comparatively.
Straight up dog shit.
So they ruined Poe Dameron in the second one by making him a fucking bumbling buffoon. Right? They ruin Leia by making her pointless for the entirety of the rest of the movie.
When you have Rey, you don't need her.
You don't need her. Yeah, it feels like so much wasted potential. And like I keep coming back to Finn is like that's the character I had all my hopes staked on because it was like this dude can bring this where it needs to be because he didn't feel like an original trilogy character because he wasn't. He felt like an extended universe character, and those are the ones in the novels that are like so multidimensional, and they've got these amazing backstories, and they've got this wonderful history, and like you really get into their motivations, and they go on journeys, and they grow, and they aspire, and they achieve, and we got none of that.
None of it.
Kylo Ren is the only thing that I enjoy watching about the new trilogy because Adam Driver's a fucking legend. And again, I stand by it. Kylo Ren is really just well done in all three of the movies. I don't like the second movie, but he's still well done in that movie. And I don't like the third movie, but he's still well done in that movie.
That was damage control.
It really was.
And, you know, what's hilarious about that is J.J. Abrams, like I know when he made that first movie, he was like, okay, we got something solid here.
Yep.
I mean, I need to go do these other things.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll come back.
I'll be back in a little bit. And then he hands it to Rian Johnson, who's just like,
yep.
Okay, here you go. He's like, what the fuck do I do with this?
So when I saw the second one, saw it in the theater like I always do, I felt like they took the young me, like I'm a little boy, you know, when I started watching Star Wars as a kid. They took me, held me, just kicked me in the balls like 5-6 times. Because he took the lightsaber, was like, and threw it. It's Luke Skywalker.
There's genuinely not a universe that exists in which he would do that. No matter how he felt about it, he would at least be like,
bro,
we're not going to do anything with this today. And then like walk away. Like that would have been,
bro. They made him a sniveling, hateful old man.
They did dedicate a minute to him collecting and drinking milk out of a weird cow tit. So, I mean, all's forgiven in the grand scheme of things. You know what really fucks me up about the second movie? They finally introduced the one interesting thing that could have brought the Star Wars franchise somewhere new. The concept that there is no such thing as a good guy or a bad guy in Star Wars. It's just what side you're on today. I was like, are they gonna fucking do it? I was so hyped up when he was just like, look, like these guys are selling weapons over here and these guys are selling weapons over here. I was like, fuck, they're actually gonna talk about like the morality of arms dealing in this universe where like there's like all these radicals on both sides. And they're like, nope, we're never gonna talk about that ever again.
Dog, it is
fuck you.
Like I'm not a huge Star Wars dude. Like I love the movies. I've seen them all, the original trilogy, and then I saw the first set, the prequels. I saw the prequels in the theater, and while those weren't the best, it still was like, okay, cool.
They were fun.
Disney Star Wars, when they purchased Lucasfilm, I knew it was gonna be crappy, and it hurts because I'm not even like that big. Like I'm not the number one Star Wars fan. So the people who are number one Star Wars fans, I know they have to be hurting right now.
Me and Joel were heartbroken. Like we've talked about it all the time. So you're not a big Star Wars guy.
Oh, I mean, I like them,
right?
But I don't like dig into everything like I do Marvel.
So I'm gonna take the remaining like 10-15 minutes we've got here, and I'm gonna talk about the thing that made me fall in love with Star Wars as a child.
Okay.
And it's the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay. And that whole setup and scene specifically. And it's because, as previously mentioned, I'm a gigantic nerd for Japanese culture. And Lucas was too.
Mm-hmm.
That whole fight is structured as a kendo match between the two masters. The stance, the eye contact, everything they're doing, it's set up like a kendo match. And a very important aspect of kendo, speaking as someone who has like not really done it, but like I've read a lot about it, so take this with a grain of salt, but to my understanding, kendo is largely a mental practice where you are basically, the concept behind it is you win the fight before you even swing your sword, because you are engaging in a battle of the wits with the person, and then you go to make your strike and it's fast and it's accurate and you're sure of yourself, and it's like you're building up your self-confidence and you're weakening their resolve and you're just going for that one decisive strike. The thing that fucked me up as a kid about the fight between those two is that Obi-Wan wins. He gets exactly what he wants, and he leaves his opponent in such a shitty spot that there's no way he can come back from it. So think about all the events like leading up to that moment. When Obi-Wan dies, he wins because he just made the son of his sworn enemy watch as he got killed by his father and swore him to vengeance. He had been trying to convince this kid to join for days, weeks possibly. And in that one moment, he secures the exact thing that he has already deduced will win against this one guy. And it's like, that fucking rocks. I love shit like that because I genuinely believe that Lucas thought of it in that framework, because so much of the iconography of not only that fight, but the design of Darth Vader is based on Japanese armor. His helmet being reminiscent of the Kabuto helmets. Just the stancing and the traditional way in the original trilogy they use lightsabers is very reminiscent of Aido or Kendo.
Yeah. Because they got fancy in the prequels.
They got very fancy in the prequels, but there a lot of it was grounded in very like real sword work, which doesn't always look very cool, but it's gotten the job done for thousands of years. So fuck it. But yeah, that's the thing that I always go back to, and I can wax poetic about that scene for ages. And then there's a YouTube channel that redid that whole fight scene as like a fight scene from the prequels, where there's a lot of like flipping and spinning all that shit, and I hate it. I fucking hate it. And it's got like 175 million views.
I bet it does.
I can tell a lot of work went into it, and like props them for doing it, but it's like that's not what the fucking fight was about.
But see, that video that you just talked about is what they would do now.
100%.
They would do that now, and it's flash with no substance.
Yeah.
And it's depressing. It's depressing to see what Disney has done to a lot of our beloved things.
Doug, we got to stop ending episodes on bummer notes, because we keep doing that. We keep ending on downers.
I mean, but that's the state of entertainment that we're in now, man.
Things are going to get better because, well, they're not. But
no.
What's important to know is your enjoyment of media. You are in control of that. You choose what you imbibe and what you ignore. And
and I've ignored.
We need to all start ignoring some of this dog shit.
Yeah,
is really what we're getting to.
Yeah, ignore it, man. And that was a problem that I had. I'm so used to consuming media. Like, I love it. So I consume it, and then I dig deep into it, and I know how it was made, and I know this and that. But I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to watch half this stuff that's out here. And I have to get myself to stop doing. Like, I haven't seen any episodes of Obi-Wan. I stopped watching Boba Fett. I'm not going to watch Miss Marvel. I'm not going to watch any of the other Marvel shows. I'm going to go see Thor, but I'm teetering on the edge about that too. And then I have to see Guardians because they have been consistently solid. So I hope they don't screw that up.
I would like to go see Thor with you, specifically so we can rip the shit out of it on the podcast immediately afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we've already talked about what we think is going to happen with that. Man. And I think it'll be interesting to see how those predictions pay off.
But to end on a positive note, I did see Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I liked it. A lot of people did not.
I mean, the new Jurassic Park movies feel like they're, like just kind of a big spectacle kind of thing.
Yeah, they are.
And that's fine.
Because we're getting long in the tooth. But I'm gonna say this, and then we're
I figure as long as we're not going past like an hour 45. So
okay. All right. So real quick, people have been saying that they don't like it. Like, they've been messaging me like, I can't stand that movie. It was dumb.
Oh, people have been reaching out to you specifically.
Yep, specifically to me. And then some of the critics are saying some of the same stuff. They're like, it's dumb, derivative, we don't need it, blah, blah, blah. My thing is, it's a Jurassic World movie. You've had two of them to lay the foundation. Why would you expect it to be any different? And how I, in my own mind, how I rate movies and stuff, if they're inside of a trilogy or series of movies, I rate them based on how they fit into that series. So, for instance, Child's Play, one of my favorite franchises. That's my boy Chucky.
Yeah.
So, if I talk about Bride of Chucky, and I say it's a B-, I'm rating it not as a overall movie, but within the context, because they give you when you have many movies to go on, they lay the foundation for you on what to expect. Like, the rules within the franchise.
Okay.
All the things about it. So when you get a series like Fast and Furious is a big one. When Fast 5 hit, it got ridiculous. And they laid that foundation. So when you reach Fast 9, you can't expect anything less than it to be ridiculous.
True. Fast 5 was the one in Brazil.
That's the first one with The Rock.
Yeah.
Like they all blend together.
Okay, so
now,
if I understand
that's
correctly,
the first one with The Rock.
That's the first one that I ever saw. I was never into the Fast and Furious movies before. But
Okay.
Corey saw the trailers and she was like, "You got to see this fucking movie. Like, we're gonna go watch it in the theater." So I was like, "I don't really care about the Fast and Furious." She was like, "It's got The Rock in it." And I was like, "All right, fine," because I am an unapologetic Scorpion King fan. I thought that movie fucking ruled. I watched that shit over. Dude. No, I'm not even talking about The Mummy 2, The Scorpion King. I'm talking about the standalone.
Yeah, the standalone joint.
Okay, got
yeah,
it.
the standalone joint.
Dog.
Because that's when he was they introduced him in.
Yeah, and he's like one of like 3 assassins or whatever. God, fucking that movie kicks so much ass. It's so stupid. It's so fucking dumb. But goddamn, is it a fun movie?
Like if there was a trilogy of Martin Scorsese movies. If he did another...
like hypothetically, if there was like 2 really, really, really good like Francis Ford Coppola movies that got released.
Yes,
and then randomly there was a third one that was really just not good.
Yes. Now see, that's when you can say, "Oh, this movie was trash," because you have rules and things that were set up previously.
Right, you have a precedent for what this should look like.
Yeah, so with Jurassic World, it fits in with all the rest of them. Yeah. Like I don't expect it to be anything more or less.
Right.
It was fine. I enjoyed it. It was a good summer movie. Lots of dinosaurs, crazy shit happening. Bryce Dallas Howard with her fine self. It was beautiful. It was fine to me. People were like, "Oh, it was dumb because this character did this." Yeah, but the characters acted like themselves. Like they acted like they were supposed to. They did dinosaur stuff. We complained about, that maybe we shouldn't have done this. Normal tropes.
Right. Normal Jurassic Park shit.
Yep.
Wild to think that there's been 6 of these goddamn movies now.
I know. Back from 93 until now. And people were complaining about the Scream, latest Scream movie, Scream 2022.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn Scream movie, dog. What do you want? Like, what do you want from it? It's a Scream movie. Have you ever seen a Scream movie that had an intricate plot? No.
Yeah, it's been pretty straightforward.
Straightforward every time. So why are you going to complain about that within that film franchise? I could see if they did if it was like a brand new franchise and it was like, "Oh, that wasn't good." You don't have anything to go on. That maybe you don't like the foundation that was built.
Right.
Scream already has a foundation. If you didn't like that foundation, you wouldn't like the very first movie. So,
and that tracks. So the main criticism that people have of the new Jurassic World movie is that it's a Jurassic World movie.
Pretty much. Okay. That's the consensus that I get from critics and my friends that have reached out to me. I thought it was just fine. The ending was very anticlimactic. All right. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
like watching Star Wars after watching The Force Awakens and then seeing the other two, that is definitely, it goes down from there. Like the foundation was much better than what we got in the end.
Okay. Well, to do a gear shift back to about an hour ago, did we miss anything on the Capcom Showcase?
No, we got the Capcom Showcase, but we were supposed to talk about God of War, and we never made it.
No, hey, that's fine. God of War can be its own thing another time.
Yeah.
I really like what we talked about today. We talked about gender representation in media.
Yeah.
Which, again, as 2 straight men, we're very qualified to speak on.
I'm just consuming media, yo. I mean, I feel like people who they make this stuff for us to watch.
Right.
They wouldn't make it if we didn't watch it.
True.
So I feel like we all have the right to voice our opinions on these matters, because if it wasn't for us, none of this would exist.
I agree. Yeah.
So
I think we all have a right. I just, I think that we're more right than other people.
Of
You know,
course.
yeah, our opinions are just objectively better.
of course.
I don't think we've said one bad opinion on here.
Nope.
DMC, phenomenal.
Goddamn great game.
Dark Souls 2, the best Dark Souls.
The best Dark Souls. Chun-Li's booty jiggling. It's fine with me.
It's fine. You know,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Look, I want to see more butts and balls jiggling in games. All right. I want to see packages thrashing about wildly as people kick. Okay. Because look,
Yes.
right? Got some loose gi. All right. You got your 80-year-old karate master hog just hanging out loosely. All right. We want to see that shit flapping around.
Hey man, I mean,
right?
whatever floats your boat. It's, you know, we just want to consume media and enjoy ourselves, and people are making it hard for us to do that.
We want you to do that too.
Yeah, enjoy this podcast.
Consume, consume, just consume. Just get the next product and then consume that.
Yep. But if you don't like it, you can complain about it. Feel free to complain about it.
Make your own podcast.
Yep, make your own. That's why we created it, so we can bitch and moan for 2 hours sometimes about stuff. So yes, thank you guys for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And we will see you really soon.
Thank you so much for joining us for the 3rd episode. And yeah, like I said, we'll see you soon. Probably in about a week if we stick to trend.
Yep.